Hey, welcome to episode 768 of today's Antidote. Today, we're going to talk on our topic for the week of course adjustments. And today, we're going to talk about the many challenges. Now, I could sit here and list all the challenges you can imagine to course adjusting. Why don't you take a couple of seconds to think about what your list might include so that when we come back after a short opening, you'll be ready to listen. And maybe we'll catch your list as our list. All that and more on today's Antidote.
Stay tuned for today's Antidote, brought to you by the Renegade Success Network. Today's Antidote features a healthy dose of thought-provoking insights and information for business owners, entrepreneurs, leaders, and nonprofit professionals. Each day since March of 2020, this program has offered that one thing to help you continue on your own unique pathway to success. And now, Renegades, we bring you Bob Graham and Tom Brush.
Hey, Tom, how are you?
Good morning, Bob. I'm well, thanks. How are you doing today?
I'm good because I figured out why my background is not showing up.
You did? Are you going to change
it? I'm logged in as a guest, so I cannot see the comments either.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Are you logged in
going on? I think I changed personas on my computer.
On which browser you're using?
Yes, correct. Yeah. Yep.
Who is logged in?
Exactly. Which of me is logged in? So, split personality issues. And
were you operating as the other Bob Graham?
I was, yes.
Online last night?
Yes, the suave one, the one that people really find, I like to think of him as sort of like Ryan Gosling, I have the six-pack abs and yes. And for all of you out there, I really was not. I wasn't on my computer last night, just so you know, lest there be rumors.
Was Sam Hunt on your computer last night? Did he break in and create a persona?
That is a possibility. I hadn't thought of that, but I'll give you that one. We may have to investigate.
Check out what Sam Hunt's doing at night on your laptop. You might need to go back and look at your history.
Sam Hunt the cat on the prowl.
You never know. You never know. All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's Antidote, our daily broadcast and podcast. As Bob mentioned in our opening, each morning we have a conversation around a weekly topic. As Bob mentioned, this week's topic is course adjustment. And today we're going to focus on the challenges around that. So as we go through that conversation, if you have thoughts or ideas that you would like to share, please feel free to put it in the comments because we know that it'll add value to the show. And at the conclusion of our conversation, Bob and I will each offer our one thing, our today's antidote. That thing that we hope will help you figure out if you're struggling with the challenges of an adjustment and are not really sure what to do next, that hopefully we will have your next step, your antidote, to help you move forward and take the next step along your own unique pathway to success. And of course, if you want to share your antidote around this topic, we know that there might be somebody out there who is desperately seeking the value that you have to share. So please feel free to share your thoughts, ideas, comments, and your one thing. Before we dive into that conversation, though, each morning, Bob and I share our celebrations. So, Bob, or are we Sam Hunt today? Either way, what are you celebrating this morning?
I am going to celebrate that I am at the end of a TV series. I had a little guilty pleasure over the last couple of weeks, maybe a month. And that was, sorry, you're getting some feedback. I apologize. I've been watching Virgin River, the Netflix TV series, and I got really invested in the characters in that show for some reason. And so I got to watch 4 seasons of it. The 5th season is coming out. Didn't think I'd like it as much as I did, but it's sort of like a extended Hallmark movie. That would be what I would describe it as. I know you watched a couple episodes of it and moved on, but
I watched a couple seasons of it.
Oh, did you? Okay.
It's a little more violent than Hallmark.
A little, yes, it's fair. Yes, little, not a whole lot, but a little, yes.
And they don't drink as much hot chocolate and s'mores. Eat s'mores as they do on the Hallmark Channel.
That is fair. And yes, correct. Yes, I'll give you all those things. But still, it was good. A good distraction for me just in the evening to chill my mind out for a little bit before bed. So
I tell you, one of the biggest challenges of those series.
What's that?
Well, you get in a routine of watching them,
Yeah.
and they're so easy to just watch one after the other after the
Yes.
other.
Yes.
That when you have to go for a long time without the next season, you kind of lose interest. You've got to move on to something else, and while you're doing that, the next season shows up, and you like don't even really realize that it's shown up. And I feel like I've been waiting for the next season of Ted Lasso for 3 years. So
Oh, you and me both. That's a good call. That is
Mhm.
definitely one to celebrate.
So that makes it hard to be, and it used to only be like, when there were only ABC, NBC, and CBS, is you just had to wait until the next season, which was maybe the fall.
And you had a new show every week. You couldn't binge watch it.
Correct. So that there
Which
was
some people are like, how did you survive? It's like you never record her either.
right.
So in the
About-
70s, if you missed an episode of Happy Days or Laverne and Shirley, you wouldn't know the important plot point that had occurred. That Fonzie had jumped the shark.
Yes, absolutely. No doubt. So that's a good celebration.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing.
How
Virgin
about you?
River, good the first 2 years were good. Seemed to get a little wonky in there, and then, like most series do, at some point you run out of plot lines that you're like, well, how much more can we do here?
Hope that's not the case when the third season of Ted Lasso comes out.
I know. I know.
Or Outer Banks. That's another one I really like.
If you ever want a series that you can just watch and watch and watch and watch and watch,
You're going to tell me Gilmore Girls or West Wing?
no. Wow. West Wing is maybe the all-time classic. I could sit and watch West Wing a long time.
I believe you have also, haven't you?
At times. I wouldn't say a long, long time. Like I haven't sit down and been, all day.
Weren't you binging it a couple weekends ago when they were showing it back to back to back episodes?
Wouldn't say I was binging. I was catching it here or there.
Okay.
A couple of episodes, then I go do something, and later it would still be running on whatever channel it was on.
Okay.
Heartland. It's like 17 seasons.
Oh my.
You could watch that a long, long, long time.
Okay.
So if you're looking for something in between, Heartland. If you like
That's
horses,
too much of a commitment. 17 seasons really taxes me.
it's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah. I need like I don't know. The idea would be 3-4 seasons is about my max. And Ted Lasso was great because I binged both seasons, and that was really good.
Although, do you find yourself like, oh, I wish there was another season? 3 or 4 seasons seems like there's still other things that could happen. What's it going to end up like? I don't know.
I don't know. Ted Lasso was real. It's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. But I was watching it at a time where a lot of what was happening to him, I could relate to. So there's it was at times it was hard to watch. And I actually went back and watched it a second time because it actually helped me access some things I hadn't accessed before. It's funny how a comedy series can actually lead you to some insights.
Certainly. Well, there's real life examples or, some things.
Very much so.
Very much so. A fascinating fact about Ted Lasso. You know the guy who plays the assistant coach?
Yes.
With a big beard?
Yes.
He's like a trivia. He was on All-Star Jeopardy.
I saw that.
Killed it.
Yes, he did. He did. He knows his stuff.
Really good. Yes.
Yes.
Anyhow, all right, time to move on from series and binge watching on Netflix.
What's your celebration today?
So my celebration is I have a coaching client that I've been working with for probably 2 months now, 2.5 months. And part of our agreement is that I'm going to come in and help them with a strategic plan as well. And so a little bit after our show, I'm going to head out to their offices, meet with their staff, meet with their founders, and meet with my client to just to get the ball rolling on what might a strategic plan look like. It's an interesting organization. It's about 10 years old, and they've really had some nice growth. And I think now they're trying to figure out how to keep growing and what does that mean and what does it look like. And so I think that'll be, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I think there's going to be, like, anytime you take that like next big step, there's some challenges that may lie ahead for them and decisions that they have to make. Um, that, again, do we want to stay this smallish, local, regional organization that has a nice impact, or can we expand what we do? So we'll see.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm
Nice.
excited
That's
about
great.
it.
Congratulations.
Thanks. It'll be fun. I always like those conversations when you talk with people about, all right, what's going on now? And then, okay, what could the future look like? Fun to think about and discuss, and then try to create a pathway to that success.
And fun to think about because it's not overwhelming to you. To a lot of people, that would be overwhelming.
Well, certainly. And I think for them, it will be a little overwhelming at the time. And my hope is that I can help them sort of see through the forest to where it might be, and things that they maybe haven't taken the time, to think about. I think that's part of the challenge for all of us, is when are we finding time in our own business, in our own position, to think about what does the future look like? Because we're so stuck in the moment that it's hard to really say, what might things look like if I took the time to think about how we could change this organization.
I like it. Nice.
Yes.
Nice. We got a lot of good stuff going on.
We do. I like that. All right. So, Bob, as we dive into our topic now, course adjustment, the challenges. You want to kick us off?
Sure.
You always love Challenges Day. Challenges Day and Discoveries of the Week.
They're my sweet spot. The rest of it, I find my way. But these, yeah. So the challenge of course adjustment, I'm going to talk about one, because I think it really is at the crux of the issue. And that is, how much or how little do you adjust? So I tend to be someone who wants to make big adjustments. Like, Tom, this isn't working. We need to just abandon whatever it is and start something new. How many times have I said that to you? Probably in the last 3 years, 80.
Somewhere.
How many days have I thought it? What's 365 times 3? About 1,000. Multiply that by 3. So about 3,000 times I've thought it. And I've said it to you 80 times. And I've wanted to do it probably 9,300 times. In fact, I was tracking in the program so far. I've wanted to restart this program in my head 3 times already.
Today?
And we are 12 minutes and 54 seconds in.
Today's show, you wanted to restart again?
I didn't like the opening. I didn't like the my celebration. There was something else. I don't like the fact that I can't see the comments. I would, and this is, so the course correction, if you accept all those things.
Course adjustment,
sorry. If you accept all those things and start adjusting, you will lose all semblance of what you're trying to accomplish. Think about it. If I said to you right now, Tom, I didn't like that opening. Let's start all over again. I didn't like my celebration topic. Let's start all over again. I didn't like this third thing. Let's start all over again. We'd never get the program done. And we'd never be able to evaluate it and say, hey, this actually worked out, because so often the things that I'm worried about turn out not to be the issue in the end. They work themselves out. I'm hypersensitive to being perfect. And when it's not perfect, I know.
Wait a minute.
Shock. There's an insight, folks.
There's a revelation of the month, maybe.
Big bell moment.
Yep.
I've been trying to pull that at me for 3 years. Finally got it. But I think we all have that. We want things to go perfectly because we have ego involved. We have pride. We don't want to look like we don't know what we're doing. As a leader, you certainly don't want your team to realize that you don't know what you're doing. As an owner, you don't want your customers, your employees, your vendors to think, wow, Bob really doesn't know what he's doing right here. But the fact of the matter is, none of us ever know what we're doing completely because we're doing it for the first time. I've never been in this situation today doing this. I've never been seated in this angle, which you said is different. I've never been in this angle with the camera as guests, not as participants. So my background doesn't work. So this is different just on those things. Then add all the other stuff that's different with each day because I've acquired all the knowledge, experience, and perspective from yesterday, the day before that. And there's no way possible to have everything be the same. You know, what's the Chinese proverb? May today, or the like almost the curse, may today be just like yesterday. And think about it, because that would mean you're not growing in any way. And so course adjustments are really our acknowledgement that we're growing. And I would argue, and I think you'd agree, that as we grow, we're moving closer to achieving whatever we're trying to achieve. Even if it seems like we're going further away, we're still getting closer, because if I make a radical shift and go the wrong way, I know you don't like wrong, but it's hard to talk about otherwise. If I go in a direction that's not taking me towards where I want to go, I'm learning not to go that way. Just like my cat touched the stove. It was still hot. He learned a valuable lesson. He won't do that again. Hopefully. But he course corrected. As soon as he felt how hot it was, he turned around and ran. Now he knows probably not to do that. And I think that's a course adjustment that we make. Oh, I can get up on the stove and maybe find the leftover food that's spattered out. Oh, whoa, that's hot. I'm not going to do that anymore. And we do that in our business. We do that as leaders every single day. When I led a team, we'd have meetings every week. Some weeks the meetings went really well. Some weeks they didn't go as I expected. Some weeks they were completely off the tracks. And a lot of that was outside my control. I had one employee who would come in with an attitude every couple of weeks, and he would just come in and, I can't believe we're required to do this. And first couple of times I didn't respond well to it. And then afterwards, I'd be like, okay, take your time. Won't say his name, but you go. We give him 5 minutes, and then someone would say, okay, you feel better? He's like, yeah, I really do. And then we get to the meeting. That was our course adjustment. Give him his 5 minutes to spout off. Now it's done. And it would be like, okay, everyone take a deep breath, and now we'll get to our meeting. It was like a pre-meeting. Or getting ready for the football game by going tailgating. And everyone in the group knew that it didn't matter. It was a course adjustment for him to get out of his system. And for us, it was actually funny. I mean, I tried not to laugh because he would just, and the coffee's cold, of all things. How can we work at a place when the coffee's cold? And it was silly stuff like that. And it became very funny. And so we took this very serious. It started out very serious, and it turned into something very funny that we actually started to rally around, that we would be like, come on, go ahead, do it. We're ready. And someone broke up into laughter one time, and then it became a running thing. If he didn't do it, because he realized what it felt like, and we would do impressions of him doing it. It's like, you know, I cannot believe, did you see that speck of dust on the carpet when you came in today? I cannot believe the cleaning crew did not do their job. We need to fire them and find someone else. Everyone started to laugh. And this became a positive thing because we course corrected or adjusted from, this is really screwing up a meeting, to, this is really a bonding experience for the team. Because we would find the most, you know, did you see there's a smudge on the door from someone's fingerprint? It was the most innocuous stuff in the world. Someone even did a PowerPoint about cars that were not parked perfectly in the parking lot, and came in and they gave a PowerPoint of, would you believe the problems we have in the parking lot? Have you seen how these cars, and they just had pulled like photos of 10 cars that they had taken just on random days that were off by like an 88th of an inch. Look at this car. I don't even know who drives this car. It was just funny. So that's a course adjustment. And it really became a way to build a bond around a team that at first I was like, this is horrible. I don't know what I'm going to do. I talked to the guy. I was like, you can't bring that to the meeting. And he's like, well, I'm just sharing my opinion. And then somehow it worked itself out. And it may seem like a big thing or a little thing. I can tell you it helped that team become much more effective as a team. So this thing that I was horrified by the first time actually became a real blessing in disguise over time. And I think that's the beauty of a course adjustment, is by making incremental shifts, you have the opportunity to not throw everything out. We could have scrapped those weekly meetings
Sure.
very easily. I thought about it. I was like, this is a mess. This is just trouble. Why would I put myself in this place? But then it was like every other group has a weekly meeting. I'm going to it's going to be looked at if I don't have a weekly meeting. So I kept with the meeting. It worked itself out. What do you say to all that? I had forgotten about that. That's a story I haven't told in a long time.
Funny how results change with time. Interesting.
They can.
They
Not
can.
always.
No, although I think they do. I think that because you have a new knowledge, experience, and perspective on it. And so what may have seemed like any result that you may have gotten may have seemed like a huge deal back then.
Mm-hmm.
With time, may seem like an even bigger deal, or might just seem like, wow, why was I so worked up about that? So I think that there's, it's all about, to me, it comes back to judgment. It's that, when we adjust, one of the biggest challenges is judging ourselves if it was right or wrong, quote unquote. And I think that it's such a hard thing because we're like, if I make this adjustment, what happens if I was 2 days away from the ad that I was running took off? It just so happened that we didn't give it just long enough that it started to take hold. And, or, it was doing really well and we let it run too long. Because it was doing so well, we just said, well, no end date to this, just keep running. Right. And, 3 months later, we forgot that we were doing it. And, oh, geez, there's all this money we've spent. So I think that it just becomes a judgment if we allow it to go that direction. And that's what, to me, it's a big challenge, is that it's, call it fear of missing out, fear of what you could have done, should have done, would have done. I mean, I think those things fall in all the time, anytime you make an adjustment. And you start to wonder, like, what would have happened if I had done this? And, and I think that.
Or not done something, right?
Or not done something, correct. If you took an action, and that action could be doing it or not doing it. And I think or make a decision. Those are the things that I think are what makes it challenging. And I think, also the other challenge in there is the emotion that gets a part of it. It was really hard the first time that guy came in and did that for you to say, what am I going to do with this? It was easy to question and be like, okay, we just need to either he needs to go, the meetings need to stop. Yeah. Something has to happen differently. And as it turns out, by allowing it to keep going, it turned into something of real value. Think about what would have happened if you just canceled those meetings. We're not having any more weekly meetings. The team cohesiveness, there's a pretty good chance it would have been different. They'd have been off at their desk doing their own thing, not really knowing what was going on, not really being able to get the value and the impact of other people's creativity. And almost like a team bonding experience. There's lots of ways to open meetings, and a lot of people talk about, okay, well, what is our icebreaker?
Right. He broke the ice.
Well, and then others did.
Yes.
Correct? And that made, in some regards, that, you could be like, okay, we got this out of the way. Now it's almost like a celebration in some regards.
Mm-hmm.
We're celebrating us being together, which allowed everyone to be in a different space to move forward and actually dive into the meeting. Jack has a comment here that I'd like to share. I forgot that you can't see the comments.
Yes, correct. Thank you.
Jack says, when trying something new, which can potentially produce outcomes, we sometimes are too quick to say it's not working when one step doesn't go as planned. Yes. I mean, and that's the other challenge, of not, you can not make an adjustment, or once you do, the expectation that results, well, I made this adjustment and the results are going to be completely different. You went and had a conversation with the guy and was like, hey, we can't have this. Didn't necessarily work out, sounded like the first
No.
couple of times. And you got to the point where you're like, maybe we just need to ditch this meeting altogether.
Right.
And in some regards, I guess, you were fortunate that you didn't, because you gained something. Now, you could have also, I'm sure, there are things went through your head that said, especially if that had continued to be a challenge, like, oh my God, I should have just got rid of these a long time ago. And what was I thinking? And why am I not, I must be not a very good leader. And so
Wow,
I
you were
think,
in my head.
well, so I think those are some of the challenges, is that anytime we make any sort of change, which is an adjustment is a change, we can get caught up in the judgment. And it's interesting, we're going through this course talking about some ads, using some
You
paid
and I
ads.
are.
Yes. And I think that what was interesting is I was going through a little bit of it last night was, when you're trying to do something, if you're truly trying to learn, as we go back to and not judge, is you really need to um, harness all the variables,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because the more variables you throw in or the more variables you adjust, it's really hard. And so the person who was giving this video presentation was talking about, like, keep the first time you start doing this so that you can learn very narrowly
Right.
focused or specifically focused, so that you can say, oh, okay, when this one situation, these are the results that we got. What did we learn from it?
Mm-hmm.
And then say, let's make a little course adjustment. And then again, in this one situation, I think so often we take um, the results that we get and believe that that's going to happen every time, everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
If it works with this group, great. Let's just plug and play in with the next group. So I think, trying to find that understanding, um, and not judging the challenge, the adjustments that you make, trying to learn from them, then they can have a lot of value, and it can really enhance your knowledge, experience, and perspective.
I think that's the key. I think you just said it. My one thing would be, if you're going to make course adjustments, you really have to do them incrementally. Like I was thinking just now, I turned my setup at my bunker 45 degrees. And I think what I did in the process is I disconnected all my wires to make them all work. And so I had to restart everything. So I don't have the usual setup in terms of my background. So if you remember yesterday, I was talking about green screens and this behind me, and I'm like, oh, this works a lot better. But what I realize is I've got 3 variables. So I don't know which variable is actually working with me today. So I need to go back tomorrow and try to get back to the way it was and see if this location, the light this way, is more favorable, because that could be the first variable and that could be the one that fixes the challenge. And so often I think we want to solve, oh, let's change 8 things. And as we do that, we lose all focus on what we're really trying to do, because now we're in the change mode. When you start flailing, you're flailing.
And it's hard to know which change was the one that brought the results that you desired.
Correct. And I think you see it with football teams when they play well. At halftime, they make changes, but they don't make a million changes. They change one big thing and that's it. And I think that's a good lesson for us in terms of how we go about things. It's got to be incremental. It can't just be, well, I ran ads for a week, I'm never going to run ads again. Or I tried Facebook for a week, now it's time to try LinkedIn. Oh, that didn't work. Let's try Instagram. Oh, let's try Twitter. And so over 5 weeks, you've tried 5 different ad platforms. Anyone who knows anything about advertising will tell you that's not enough data to even start. You've basically thrown away your money, but you're saying it didn't give me quick results, so therefore I can't see it through. And I think we do that unintentionally and unknowingly often.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of value in that. I think also, as I think about my one thing, And here's the other thing I think about what you said before I get into my one thing.
Mm-hmm.
You can learn something from those 5 weeks if you choose to do that in the example that you gave in the social media advertising. If you're willing to do it. If you're only willing to say, oh, I did it for a week and it didn't work, I need to do something different, you're judging it. You're not learning from it. You could say, this was interesting. This is this, and here's sort of what I understand. I understand I only did it for a week, and if I understand that, yes, results could change, okay. Your ultimate pathway might be like, what kind of results can I get if I try every different platform for a week? And you might see that, that's interesting. In a week, I got different results. I got results that were closer to where I wanted to be in Twitter.
Right.
Fascinating. And Instagram didn't seem to have the results. Now, if I understand correctly, what would happen then if I did it for a month each? I'm like, oh, okay. And, so I think that to me, the challenge with any adjustment is failing to stop and not choosing to learn from what you have done. You're just making change to change. And I think the other thing about it is that you're judging whether you should or shouldn't have done it, could or couldn't have done it. Those things, just to me, is when you choose to stop learning and start judging, you're now, it's going to be very difficult to really understand what's going on. And you're going to be likely to be struggling, either, like you said, flailing and changing all the time, or being so stuck that you're like, I'm afraid of change. And so I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing because at least I know one way to do it. And I don't have to worry about all these other thoughts that get in my head about should I, could I, would have, should have. Oh, that was a failure. It was good. It was bad. All those things are just judgments that I think slow us down.
I like it.
All
right. I like it a lot.
If you have a one thing you'd like to share, please feel free to put it in the comments, because we know that it might be exactly what someone else is looking for. Maybe it's what Bob and I are looking for, as we always try to take our next step along our own unique pathway to success. We have just the knowledge, experience, and perspective that we have. And maybe you can shed some light on that. Got the hiccups this morning. That will help us take our next step. So please feel free to share your thoughts and ideas. If you happen to be listening to the podcast, we know that there is not an opportunity to share comments there. So join us inside our Ring of Renegades Facebook group, where we are helping leaders and small business owners who are struggling with either their systems or their strategies. And so that is leading them with a lack of confidence to really be able to move forward, take the next step, learn from the actions that they have taken, and find their own unique pathway to the success that they desire. So we look forward to seeing you inside of that group. If not, we'll see you tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Eastern time, for our next episode of Today's Antidote. Have a great day, everyone.
Hey, embrace the renegading you on this beautiful Tuesday morning. It's so worth it. So worth it. Can't say it enough. Embrace the renegading you.
Yes, indeed. All right. Have a great day. We'll see you soon. Thanks for listening to Today's Antidote, powered by the Renegade Success Network. The Renegade Success Network helps you confidently create your own unique pathway to success. To learn more about the Renegade Success Network and how you can take your next step, follow us on Twitter, connect on LinkedIn, or join the Ring of Renegades Facebook group. For full details on how you can join our community, go to renegadesuccessnetwork.com. Embrace the renegade in you.